Welcome to Brookline Hub In-Depth. I'm your host, Harvey Bravman. We have a really great show for you. The 33rd Boston Jewish Film Festival begins on November 7th and goes right through to November 21st. And we have the executive director of the film festival, Susan Adler, who's with us today. Susan, welcome to the show.
Thank you so much for having me. I'm excited to be here.
Really excited to have you on. And first question is, we're going to get into this year's festival, but a little about, I'd love to hear a little about, for the audience, Susan Adler, and a little about your own personal history and how all your roads ended up at the Boston Jewish Film Festival.
Okay, well, I think my roads all began in Brookline. So grew up in South Brookline. Both my parents were from Brookline. My grandmother was from Brookline. So long history there. And I started out in advertising. I took some time when my kids were born, and then I got into nonprofit work. I've worked for nonprofit for healthcare and health and human services. And then I made a switch to do arts and culture, which was really exciting because it's such a passion for people, and there are some uplifting stories there. I found my work in other nonprofits to be very rewarding. I was on corporate relations and working with financial services and CEOs and different organizations that wanted to get their companies involved in the work we were doing. But it also felt like oftentimes you keep doing the same work and nothing is necessarily changing immediately, and with the mission that you're trying to achieve. So getting to arts and culture and working in among the Jewish culture specifically really felt like a great fit. So I've been with Boston Jewish Film it'll be 3 years in January, and it's been terrific. It's been a great opportunity for me to come back working sort of locally and to get new exposure to the Jewish community. And then I've learned so much about Jewish film and Israel and all sorts of things through these films. So I'm learning right along with our community, and that's been tremendous.
Boston Jewish Film Festival has really benefited from your guidance, Susan. Tell us a little about the festival. I believe it started in, is it 1988 or?
Yeah, 1988, because we're 33. Yep.
And this is the 33rd. And tell us a little about the history.
Well, I think it's grown every year. I think from the different locations that it was screened in the beginning to, the red carpet kind of events and the type of guests that we brought in. I know we've had, Oscar winners. Marlee Matlin came to the festival one year. I've heard amazing things about our 30th anniversary with Nancy Spielberg and some of the films. I wish I had the metric for how many films that we've previewed that have then gone on to win Ophir and Academy Award and just become, in the canon of Jewish films. And, they began at Boston Jewish Film Festival for premieres. I think we have a marvelous reputation for doing that. I think over time, the type of programs that accompany the films with Q&As or interactive events or films for kids have, we keep trying to get better and better and engage our audience in new ways. And I think we've been successful, and that's our consistent goal to do that. And we're doing it again this year, I think so.
Yeah, I think I read that The Pianist actually premiered at the festival.
Oh, what a fabulous film. That's a great one.
That's pretty amazing. And the way you guys do it so well, the film that I produced, Soul Witness, we sort of modeled how to present it and how to do the Q&A and everything around it from the Jewish Film Festival.
Oh, thank you.
Tell us a little about the challenges the last couple of years. I mean, nobody is bereft of challenges
It's
um,
true.
since this all started. But what have been some of the challenges facing the festival? And then, how have you, what have some of the things that you've done to sort of work around those challenges?
Well, I think the first challenge was the newness of it and learning a new technology and streaming and becoming adept so that, you projected confidence and good instruction and really let your community know that we are all together, even though we're apart. In March of 2020, we had a festival that was going to be in person, and then we switched at the last minute. We were one of the first festivals in the country to go online, and it was through a free platform. And we were able to expand our audience globally, which was terrific. I think at that point, most of the online programming, people were getting it from so many places. Most of it was free, and this festival happened to be free. And then our next festival was our film festival, and we found new technology. And the challenge was to continue to keep that community, to build the excitement, the energy, to make it something that people want to join you with, and have there be a value in it so that you can sell tickets and passes. I think a challenge is that you can't get together to hold a fundraising event, and figuring out sort of the barometer of what does this look like as far as the value, and what do people want to give to support you. I think in the first year we created a sustainer opportunity, and we reached out to our community to let them know we're still here, that we are still expert at providing Jewish film content and conversation and learning, and our mission is in front of us every day, and we need our audience to be a part of it with us. And I think we were successful, but continuing that messaging without beating people over the head with it. I know different nonprofits approached it differently. We know that our audience is most aware of us around our festival time, even though we are here 365 days a year. But I think, we had strong messaging, and I think it's always be true to the programming to look for the best films that people aren't going to find by themselves. I mean, we are reaching out to film distributors. We're looking at films from around the world. We're looking for documentaries and narratives, and it's sort of a puzzle that we put together every year. We don't know the theme of the festival until we see the films, and then you sort of see, what does this feel like? Last year, or a couple of years ago, we had an environmental theme. This year we have a lot of films from South America. So I mean, the themes can differ, and finding that way to put it together to make it enticing and interesting to people who have all kinds of different interests. So I think that's a challenge, but that's what we love to do, and that's where we continually see the importance and the viability of film as a platform to talk about culture, to talk about what's happening in society now, and to look back at history. I think film is just so unique in its ability to reach all kinds of people in different ways.
How did this year is, I think we're all sort of struggling whether to get takeout or eat at the restaurant, to to go to the movie theater or to watch a movie at home. Was it a difficult decision this year, now that we're sort of coming out of the pandemic, but definitely still in the pandemic?
Right. It's a great question. We really had to make our decision late spring, early summer, when there was so much about the Delta variant coming out, and you were getting different news every day about where what's happening with people contracting COVID even after they'd been vaccinated, and capacity things were changing. And we really needed to make a decision that was for the best of the festival with our audience in mind and being cognizant of those who might not be comfortable in coming back to a theater if there were capacity limitations, or I think at that time we didn't know if it was going to be proof of vaccination or what you were going to have to do. And it felt in June or July, as much as we love our theater venues and want to support them, we were in touch with them all the time. We just didn't feel we could go big in November. We didn't know enough of what was going to be happening in November. So it seemed to us the best decision would be to be virtual. I mean, we knew how to do that. We knew that there were things that we could do even better. We knew that, we would have strong programming. And so I think, we got behind it with our organization leadership were behind it. And we felt if we, did some special things and we messaged and we kept up our mission and our, desire to build our community around these films, that we would be successful. And I hope that we will be. But yeah, we had to make the decision in the spring. So knowing what we knew then, I think we're confident that we made the right decision.
I think so too. And it must really be helpful to have 32 festivals under your belt, and the festival has always been so good at sort of retaining members of its community, so that you I think the hardest thing possibly in 2021 is if you don't have an audience, it's much harder to get one. But you're in such a strong position where you have an audience. You just have to decide whether we're all meeting in the office or we're meeting like on Zoom. Like,
right.
where are the patrons going to go? But they all are in touch with you. Do you feel that that's true, or?
I feel we're very fortunate that our community is aware of us. And I started, even when we first began, it's early November. That's Boston Jewish Film Fall Festival time. Whether it's virtual or it's in the theaters, this is what people who know us expect, and they look forward to this festival. And I think early November is a great time. You don't know whether it's going to be. We know it's daylight savings time, it's going to be dark, it's going to be cold. And there are advantages to being able to, be comfortable in your home and watch these films. You can watch them at midnight, you can watch them over breakfast, you can watch them, on demand at your convenience, you can watch them back to back. There's a whole new way of enjoying the film festival when it's virtual. And I think that appeals to a lot of people. So we're happy to give that to them and have strong programming. And we'll look to the next festival and see whether we're more of a hybrid kind of thing. But eventually we'll be back in the theaters. But I think the genie's out of the bottle. I think there will always be some sort of virtual aspect because it's people really enjoy it and it's easy. But you don't want to lose that personal connection in the theater. There's nothing like opening night or mid-fest when people are coming and you've got your passes and you're going to get popcorn and you want to get a good seat and you sit and you see the trailers and it's different in a virtual festival about being able to do a trailer where you show all the names of your donors and your sponsors and things like that. In a theater, these things scroll and your timing is different. And in a home version, you see these things and it's important to recognize, but that may also be when everybody is going to the kitchen, they sit down. So I think, we have to be cognizant of providing really valuable recognition and being grateful to all our supporters and sponsors, but in a virtual delivery method, you have to be respectful of people's time also in watching.
Also, I think all the people that go to Florida can still watch the festival. I think this old Jewish joke that I think my uncle first told me, he said, I'm going to live in Florida this winter, I don't want to go, but I'm 65 and that's the law. But
Yeah, I mean, it is tremendous that we can grow our audience and that we can have people from different states watching us. I think that's been sort of another curve that's happened with the film industry, that the geo-blocking and different distributors and filmmakers are particular on how many eyes they want on their film, and others are, you know, we can have a Massachusetts premiere, we can have an East Coast premiere, we can have a world premiere. There's been a big difference from last year to this year, and I think it's still changing. I'm not an expert on the industry by any means, but I think, you know, different filmmakers are rethinking what does it mean to premiere in a theater. If you're going to have a big giant premiere in a theater, that's fabulous, but it's going to be in the theater for a shorter time before it's available to stream. So thinking about what that all means. And there's just so much content out there, which is exciting, but that's why Boston Jewish Film is important and valuable, because we've already looked through hundreds and hundreds of films, hours and hours of things to present, you know, a program of really fabulous things. It's almost like there's so much out there, it's really hard to find what you're looking for. So with Boston Jewish Film Festival, you don't have to find it. We present it right there for you, which is great.
it is a really great curated festival. And now I think there may be some advantages to virtual in the way how intimate like the Q&As can be. If you're in the last seat in the back, you might be able to see the film as well, but if there's a guest there, they're so far away, and now they're right on the screen, you know, in the virtual festival. And I wanted to just ask about the importance of the festival and the importance of all Jewish festivals and all sort of ethnic oriented festivals, and you know, festivals that highlight, you know, women of color or something like that. Do you think it's important that there are festivals like these that that highlight one culture?
I think that it is important, but I think that all of those festivals that are highlighting one culture are really reaching out to all cultures. You know, that's what we're here for, is to bring more people, to share more, to you know, explore the richness of the Jewish culture so that everybody can see it. It's not just for, you know, people who might be very learned on the subject. It's for people who can learn, and film is just a great platform for discussion. So I think, you know, we do look to highlight women directors and have people of color in the festival, and, you know, try to highlight all aspects. We have, you know, social justice. We're starting a new program to combat anti-Semitism in the schools. We were able to be in a few communities last spring that were experiencing anti-Semitism. We had a great film that was age appropriate. We got in touch with school administrators. We presented the film. We presented a guest whose experience very closely, his family echoed what took place in the film. It was a third generation story of movement from Norway to Sweden with children. The film was called The Crossing, and we had great success with that. So we've launched a whole program, and it's sort of a grab and go. We can go and work with administrators, and this is just a program that can dovetail with some of their programming. We create a question and answer for kids, and you know, we're hoping that we will get into lots of different communities, and we're excited about that. But film, again, that's the vehicle, that's the platform that people, kids, students can see aspects that maybe they weren't so familiar with, and it's a great opportunity to learn and discuss. And when we bring in a guest that is the filmmaker, or you know, has a similar experience, that makes it, you know, so memorable. It's just something that is unique to us, and we're excited to be able to put this program before various towns at no cost to them. And we think that it's going to be really important and it's needed right now. We all know that that's something that, people need to raise awareness around. So I think something like the Boston Jewish Film Festival, with our ability to curate films and bring people together and guests and experts, is really a strength and an important need in the community.
Tell us how people can take part in the 33rd Boston Jewish Film Festival, and also how they can support the festival. I know that, donations are also important. It's a nonprofit.
Yes, absolutely. People can purchase tickets by going to bostonjfilm.org. There are all access festival passes available that get you all the films and all the programs, or there are individual tickets that can also be purchased. And Boston Jewish Film is providing program year-round. So we also have the Boston Israeli Festival. Our third annual festival will take place late February, early March. So that's something to be on the lookout for. We also partner with many different organizations throughout the year and do co-presentations for films and do lots of other things. We have a summer Cinematheque series through the summer where we're showing different screenings. We actually had our first outdoor screening that was at a new venue last year. We did a big blow up screen in August so people could social distance. That was terrific. So maybe we'll repeat that coming in the summer. But I think the future looks bright. We're looking forward to being together with our audience in person and also enhancing and continuing the virtual presentation. So I think we're here all the time. We love to get feedback from folks about the different films that they've seen and they like. There's always an aspect where people can participate in the chat in the Zooms and send in their questions, and certainly in person, we miss that, people being able to actually ask their questions while we're all in the same space. But we'll have more of that in the future. So but we're really proud of what we've put together, and I hope that people will go again to bostonjfilm.org. We have a whole brochure that's a PDF, so you can print it out. We've also printed and mailed some of the brochures to folks, so that's something that people can see if they want a tangible example of our festival. This is our brochure. You won't be able to see it, so I guess get rid of that. Sorry.
That's all right. We're virtual, so that's the.
Right.
Thank you so much for being on, and I'd be remiss if I didn't mention that the film I produced, Soul Witness, we were one of those that were sort of in the position where my wife and I had borrowed what is a lot of money for us to make the film. And I had to put my business on part-time. And we reached out to the film festival. The only way that we could afford to present the rough cut even of the film was to rent the Coolidge Corner Theater. And what I learned about the Jewish Film Festival, I'd always been a patron, but what I learned was that it's to support all Jewish film. So this film, you all helped us get the word out. And for us, it meant bringing in enough money to pay for the film and in our screenings and stuff. And the film wouldn't happen without that, those, friendships along the way. So you've all been great. I encourage everyone to attend this virtual at your own schedule, because all you have to do is sign up, and between November 7th and November 21st, see any film you want, depending on which package you purchase. Thanks so much, Susan. This has been great.
It's been a pleasure. Thank you for the opportunity.
Take care.
You too.
Hi, my name is Danielle Myers of ADW Video Productions and BrooklineHub.com. BrooklineHub.com is a 501c3 nonprofit online publication dedicated to community building through local reporting and events. Brookline Facing Civil Rights was produced by our founder, Harvey Bravman. The film is about the experiences of African Americans who helped break the wall of segregation that existed in Brookline before the civil rights laws were passed in the 1960s. Last year, the film sold out the Coolidge Corner Theater and included a panel discussion on inclusivity. You can stream the film and the discussion on BrooklineHub.com in exchange for a donation to the Brookline Community Foundation's Safety Net Fund. You can also stream Soul Witness, a film that features interviews with Brookline Holocaust survivors conducted 30 years ago, on soulwitness.org. For the last 11 years, Harvey has been interviewing outstanding teens as part of an event held at the Coolidge called the Brookline Youth Awards. The Brookline Youth Awards are an opportunity for Brookline residents to hear about the character, challenges, and dreams of its young people, as well as adults dedicated to their success through the power and intimacy of video interviews.